Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so very much for joining us. We are going to talk about today about the process of purchasing a property in Spain. I'm so very glad that you're here with us today, and this morning especially. I help some clients from the United States to complete the purchase of their dream home. So I'm very excited, as I always am, once this process is completed, because it's also a privilege to me to accompany clients to make this dream come true. To the persons who are watching us live, because we're recording this conference live, we are going to take all the questions that you want to ask us. The questions, you can send them depending on the platform that you're watching us from. But if you're on Zoom, just send it to the chat box, or if you are watching us on Instagram or in YouTube Live or in LinkedIn, just put it in your comments, and then I'll be gathering them as I speak and make sure to answer them before we finish. We're going to be here for a half an hour. If you happen to catch this webinar later on our YouTube channel, feel free to send us an email at info@bvilc.com, which is the same email in which you received the invitation to connect to this webinar, and we will be happy to reply to your questions there. As I said, we're going to be here for about 30 minutes, so make sure to get your questions in before we have to disconnect. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Adriana María Barba. I'm a dual degree lawyer. I graduated law school both in the United States and in Spain. And I'm licensed by the New York Bar and also by the Spanish Bar. And that makes me, because I did the process to obtain an European license, to be able to practice throughout the European Union. So I will be happy to guide you with all your needs in Europe. I'm also specialized in international taxation, so I can accompany you and advise you not only through the purchase process, but also in making an analysis of all the taxes that you will incur and how those taxes can be made more efficient with the coordinating those taxes with your home country. Along with Manuel Vasquez, I'm managing partner of Vasquez and Barba International Legal Consultants, which is not only a law firm, but we're also a real estate agency. So we are happy to accompany you not only in the legal process of purchasing your home and any subsequent process, if the property that you purchase allows you to obtain residence in Spain, but also in the process of finding and choosing your perfect home, because we have a team of licensed real estate agents, all bilingual, that can assist you also in the search of your perfect property. The firm has been named since it was founded in 2015 as one of the best new law firms in Spain for expats. And also myself, I have been recognized by the ranking Best Lawyers as one of the best lawyers in Spain to advise foreigners in the real estate purchase process. I mention all this so we put all these services at your disposal, and that way you feel trusted, are trusting on us in order to accompany you to complete this process. So let me explain to you how the process of purchasing real estate in Spain works when the person who purchases real estate is not a Spaniard and a person outside the European Union. It is very important that if you want us to assist you with the process of purchasing real estate, that you let us know as soon as you want to start the search. Because real estate agencies here, as soon as you contact them just for a question without signing anything, they consider you their clients, and that makes the process of sharing information a little bit difficult. Now, before you start looking for properties or contacting real estate agencies or agents, make sure to let us know that it is your intention to purchase a home in Spain in the near future, and we will make sure to protect all your interests and not have any possible intermediaries interfering with the process. Once we establish a relationship with you and contact the national and the biggest national real estate agencies in the country to let them know that you will be working with us, we will start looking sometimes with our own portfolio, but also in collaboration with many real estate agencies in Spain for listed and unlisted properties. We manage properties that are on the market and also properties that are off the market and that we deal directly with the owner. Once we find the property that meets your expectations, if the property is in our portfolio, you will skip this part. But if it's not, we will have to complete a due diligence process. In Spain, and as in many European countries, when you acquire a property, you not only acquire the property, but also the charges and liens and encumbrances that that property may have. And in Spain, that may mean debts. So it is very important prior to signing any kind of document or committing yourself to purchasing a property that we perform a due diligence report for you to make sure what is the actual legal and tax status of the property, as well as its status in the urbanistic plan of the city. Because in a city like Barcelona, for example, I'm sure you're familiar with the Sagrada Familia building. And there are a lot of beautiful properties nearby the building of La Sagrada Familia. But it's part of the urbanistic plan of Barcelona to demolish a lot of all those properties in the near future so the cathedral can be completed. Right now it's only the central part of the building which is built, and it is supposed to have a wing in the background that completes the building. So once you purchase, for example, a property in the area of La Sagrada Familia, you need to make sure that it is not scheduled to be demolished in the next 5, 7, or 10 years. Or you have to be okay with the expropriation process and knowing that in some years you will undergo that process. But that is just an example of all the things that a property may have in its records. We need to make sure that the person who's selling is the owner. We need to make sure in Europe, houses have to be optimized for energy efficiency, and they have to have an energetic certificate. So we need to make sure that that document is up to date. We check on all the possible liens and encumbrances that the property may have to make sure that you absolutely know for sure what you are acquiring. Once that due diligence report is completed, then we will use the points on that due diligence report that are not up to date as negotiating points with the seller. So even if the property has some kind of lien or charge or anything that doesn't make it spotless and super clean for the transaction, that really doesn't mean that it is a deal breaker. It only means that we can use that information as a negotiation point for the sale process. In that negotiation, we draft a deposit contract. It is very important that you work with a lawyer such as ourselves that is familiar with the process of purchasing real estate for foreigners, because the standard deposit contract allows very short time for the transfer of funds from the buyer to the seller. And we cannot commit as person representing foreigners and as expats to short periods of time to the deposit of money, so to the transfer of funds, because all the funds that come from outside the European Union have to undergo an anti-money laundering checklist by the banks. And these sometimes, depending on the kind of relationship that you have with the banks that you're working with, in some cases may take months, depending on the jurisdiction too. But this is just one of the aspects that we take into account once we draft the deposit contract. We make sure that your deposit is protected, that the property actually gets off the market once you complete your deposit. In some cases, and depending on the relationship that the owner and the seller have in the negotiation, we can put the funds in what will be the equivalent of an escrow account here in Spain. That figure in Spain doesn't specifically exist, but with the help of a notary, we can deposit the funds in a neutral account, let's say, and they will only be released if the purchase is completed. So we take all the steps. We're very familiar with this process. We have accompanied many families to complete this dream of making a move to Spain. So we have all the possible alternatives covered within our team or with our collaborators. Once the deposit is made, then you have a certain amount of time to complete the purchase. And during this time, we will draft the actual closing documents. This period is also used for the funds to get to Spain, for example, in the case of a foreigner, and for you to complete any final details that you needed to complete in order to have a successful closing. We will be guiding you in each step of the way. And also, just so you know, in our firm, we pride ourselves in responding within 24 hours of you contacting us. And also because the process of purchasing real estate may involve many actors, we guarantee that the only person that you will be dealing with if the transaction is in English will be with me. I will be your interlocutor for all the aspects of the process. You will not need to get a real estate agent. You will not need to get another lawyer. You will not need to get a tax advisor or an accountant, even an architect if you want to make some reforms in the apartment, for anything, or a mortgage broker for anything and everything that you may need regarding the real estate purchase process from the very beginning until you have the property deed in your name. You will be dealing with me directly, and I will be replying to you once every 24 hours. So that saves a lot of time through the purchase process, and also coordination within among several professionals if you decide to do it by yourself. Once you, we in many instances come into the real estate purchase process once the client has already contacted some other professionals, thinking that they may need some other professionals to complete the process, and then the coordination until we come into the picture is very difficult within the several professionals. So when you trust us to accompany you in the real estate purchase process, we coordinate all the professionals that may be involved in the transaction, and you will be dealing with only one interlocutor for the whole process, saving you a lot of stress that we want to eliminate for you for this process. This is supposed to be a process that only brings you joy, and that it is the realization of a dream, as it was for me when I moved to Spain. So we want to facilitate that process for you. So when the time comes to complete the closing, we can do either two things. You can come to Spain and do it personally, or at the beginning of the process, because we need to get some documents ready in order for you to complete the purchase, and this means getting you a foreign ID number in Spain, assisting you with the process of opening a bank account that if you do it with us, we can have it done in a day. This is not usually the case when a foreigner comes to Spain to open a bank account, but since we have very good relationships with several banks in Spain, we will prepare the documentation that the banks needs in order to open the bank account. And once you come to Spain, the account will be activated within I say a day, but it's usually within a couple of hours. So you will grant us power of attorney to complete all these processes that are preliminary to the closing date for you. And then the date of the closing, you can either come yourself, or I could represent you to complete the closing through this same power of attorney. During the closing, the notary explains everything that is delineated in the contracts, to make sure that both the persons who are selling and the persons who are buying understand the process. And then the transfer is made while in the notary's offer once we are in the notary's office, and then the seller gives us the keys of the apartment. This is the closing process in Spain. The notary then will give us a deed of purchase, and with this deed of purchase, which does not complete the process of the real estate, we will complete the payment of taxes and then make sure that the property is then registered under your name. This is a very important step of the process, because you can complete the part at the notary, but then if you don't go to the property register and make sure that the name is changed in the registry, the number, then the name, sorry, not the number, but the name that will appear will be the one of the previous owners. Once you have your property deed, then the property deed and the property registry completed, and the payment of taxes also completed, the real estate purchase is fully completed, and you can call yourself a homeowner in Spain. Now, I'm going to use the next 10 minutes of this conversation to go further on with the Golden Visa program, which is the one that grants you a resident card through the purchase of real estate in Spain. You will, in order to obtain a Golden Visa, which is actually a resident card in Spain for the investor or the purchaser of the home, his or her significant other, and minor children, you will first have to undergo all the real estate process until the property is completed. Is our recommendation. You can start the process with the deposit agreement or with some preliminary documents. It is allowed by law, but we do not recommend it. We always do it once the real estate process is fully completed. If the property that you purchased is of a value of 500,000 euros or more, that purchase grants you the right to apply for a residence permit. And this is the process that is commonly known as the Golden Visa. Your anchor in Spain will be the real estate investment. So that means that in order to maintain your residence card, you will need to maintain the investment in Spain. The resident card, if you apply for it while you're in Spain, meaning after you complete the real estate purchase, you can come to Spain, and then with all the documents ready that we will prepare for you prior of you coming to Spain, we will put in the application for Golden Visa, and then you will receive a resident card that will be valid for 3 years. The great advantage of a resident card obtained through investment, which in the case this webinar is specifically for the purchasing of a property, but you can also obtain a Golden Visa through investment of 1 million euros in Spanish stocks and bonds, or through the investment of 2 million euros in public debt. But if you have questions about those two other options, or any question, we will be happy to reply to them via email at info@vvilc.com. I'm going to focus and continue to focus on the real estate purchase, on how to buy a property in Spain, which is the topic for this webinar. So once you complete the purchase of a property that is worth more than 500,000 euros, and you have your property deed in hand and the documents from the property registry in hand, we can start an application for a Golden Visa. If, as I said, if we do it while you're in Spain, that permit will be valid for 3 years. But the great advantage of this residence permit, which is an advantage exclusive to this one, is that you don't have to reside permanently in Spain in order for the permit to continue to be valid and for you to be able to renew the permit after the initial 3-year period. Any other resident permit in Spain, which we process many digital nomad or non-lucrative visas, or several of the other laws that allow you to obtain a resident permit, require you to move to Spain and reside in Spain at least 183 days out of the year. With this Golden Visa residence permit, that requisite is eliminated. You need to maintain the investment, but you can come in and out of the country at your leisure throughout the time that you maintain the resident card. It will allow you and give you right to live in Spain, to move freely through the Schengen area, to work in Spain for yourself or for another company. It will allow your children to enter the education system here, and although you will have to be insured for the application, it will also allow you to enjoy the Spanish public health system, which is only second in the world to Germany. Here in Spain, when we have a sickness that is serious, we go to or we have to have a surgery that is a main surgery, we go through the Spanish healthcare system because it's very superior to the private system that that exists in Spain and in many countries. So this resident card will allow you to use the health system, the education system to enter the workforce, and will give you freedom of movement through the Schengen area. If you are a national of a country that was a former territory of Spain, meaning the Philippines, all of Latin America, there are some other places in the world that used to be part of the Spanish crown. If you hold one of those passports, after holding this resident permit, and any resident permit actually, for 2 years, you will be able to apply for citizenship, for Spanish citizenship. And this is a process that we can also assist you with. Once we put in the application for citizenship, the full process of application and obtaining actually the passport takes approximately 24 months. But this is always an approximate because months like August, July, and September, many government offices are closed or are partially staffed. So I mean working months, and it's always an approximation. By law, the application for citizenship has to be approved within a year, but that is not always the case. So once that year passes, we can either continue to wait, and then the wait can become a 3 or a 5 year period, or we can request an administrative hearing to the government, and if all the requisites are complete, in the cases that we put the application, that is always the case, then the file is taken off the administrative route and it is approved because it has been reviewed. So the purchase of real estate in Spain, once you're a foreigner, has to be taken very seriously and done with a lot of care, because there are additional steps that need to be taken, and there is a lot of coordination that needs to be done in order for you to not have to repeat processes of have documents that expired, actually expire, and then have to get them twice. But it can be the path for you to obtain citizenship if the property that you purchase is over €500,000. Then you obtain a golden visa, and then you apply for a Spanish citizenship after 2 years of being a permanent resident. This is in the case that you want to become a Spanish citizen and that your investment is more than €500,000. But if you want to purchase a house or an apartment or any kind of real estate, either commercial or residential, just as an investment in Spain, in order to have some of your patrimony in Spain, where we enjoy judicial security and the financial system is very strong, that's also a process that we can assist you with. Since we are also a real estate agency, we can manage the property for you. So you can get the rents of the property that you have in Spain, if you don't have it for your personal use, managed by us, and then we will just send you monthly, bi-monthly, or every trimester or every semester the earnings that you will have in the property that you have as an investment in Spain. So we are now on an hour of our conversation. I'm checking here that we don't have any questions. Let me check on the other platforms. Well, it seems that it was the explanation was very clear because I don't have questions. So allow me to please Thank you for attending this webinar. We are at your disposal for any inquiries or questions that you may have. Just feel free to send us an email at info@bbilc.com, which is the email in which you receive the invitation for this webinar. Also to the persons who joined us live, during the next 24 hours, you will receive a brochure that delineates the purchase process and that you can use as a reference guide if you want to go over the topics that we discussed today. So I thank you very much for accompanying me on this webinar. If you want to review it, it will be posted on our YouTube channel shortly. And I look forward to receive your questions and hopefully start working for you very soon. Thank you very much for being here and have a fantastic day.